Take the Rohypnol trademark now. Unless you've already seen this episode, in which case I probably should have put this bit first. I feel like I'd be insulting you, dear viewer, if I bade you to not actually use Rohypnol for the purposes of reliving entertainment that will fade from your memory naturally without chemical help. There's always somebody, though, isn't there, that makes it so you have to explicitly point it out. I think that's how we end up with rules. No heavy petting in the swimming pool. How we end up with laws. No heavy petting without consent. And how we end up with passive-aggressive notes about the usage of my housemate's scales to weigh an overweight cat. It's both a cold open and a callback. I call it an open coldback call, for brevity. Better roll the titles before I say something else. Hello, I'm a comedian because, well, actually, just between you and me, dear viewer, it has to be said that I don't really believe I'm a comedian. No, it's much, much worse than that, and so much more narcissistic and egotistical to boot. You see, I'm not a comedian, no. I'm an artist who uses the format and established tropes of the medium of comedy to promulgate ideological messages, to interrogate reality, and explore ideas in interesting ways. The fact that any of it might be the slightest bit amusing is beside the point. I'm not here to entertain you. I'm just here to see if I can reasonably get away with saying that's what Shay said, without explaining that it's in relation to a bot on social media I program that just regurgitates random things Che Guevara said. Not the things necessarily he's famous for saying, whatever those things might be. I don't know. I'm not aware of Che Guevara t-shirts, but things like, oh, we're out of eggs. From the time he was going to make scrambled eggs and there was no eggs in the basket. That's right, people in the USA. He wasn't looking in the refrigerator for his eggs, no. Or the time he stopped for fuel for his motorbike. I know he had a motorbike at some point, and he said to the attendant at the pump, I need some petrol. That's right, people in the USA. He didn't ask for gas like what you think. He wasn't trying to fill up a balloon. Or the time he said, hang on a moment, I don't speak in English. That's right, people in the USA. Not only does he have his eggs in a basket when he's got eggs and says the right words for the right things, he doesn't even speak your language. And that's why he was a revolutionary and you keep your eggs in a cold box. I can't imagine why I might be feeling a little hostile to the USA at the moment. I don't think all comedians are artists, like what I am, but I do think all artists are comedians. Come on, most of them are taking the piss in one way or another. I know I am. So, what have I been doing since the last video? Well, just take a moment and sit right there, and that's pretty much what I've been doing for many moments. If only my life felt as productively propulsive as the comedic narrative describing the lack of momentum in it. What I'm saying is that my descriptions of doing bugger all are pretty peppy. I do nothing but get ticked off by the news while being aware of my life's clock ticking down, while I do little more than ticking the checkboxes of my existence, such as it is to keep it ticking over, which ticks me off. In the face of catastrophic climate change, though, amongst other prizes from the trophy case of endless shit that could have been avoided, I do wonder what the point is. Now it's over to Artie the Arctic climatologist for the latest news. Thanks, Artie. I had no idea it was that bad. So it turned out it was her sister's son-in-law's daughter by another marriage who was the father all along. Shocking. Oh, and as far as the climate is concerned, 4 years ago they said it was past the point of no return. 4 years! We're even more past the point of no return. It's pointless to hope we can return to the point at this point. I thought, what I need to do is make a meaningful change to my... And to that end, I stopped watching the news and instead decided to watch some old television and listen to some old music I used to listen to, because first world problems like existential despair and video adverts on your egg storage device need first world solutions, like watching the City Show in the original aspect ratio with the continuity and advertisement breaks intact. Is examining the comforts and pitfalls of going down memory lane just a tired old retread of my past material, routines like rose-tainted glasses, kill your heroes, etc.? That's right, dear viewer, there's the AQCU, a whole interconnected universe of material. About 3 hours of it, I think. So, is the trip down memory lane a tired old retread of past routines, or is it perfectly appropriate given the subject matter? You know, the subject matter being that of nostalgia. British nostalgia, when you're Generation X, is such a minefield that the ghost of Diana Spencer, famous for being the people's princess and also for defusing landmines, is raising awareness again. Cut the blue wire. Die. Just as an aside, a Princess Diana factoid for you. They, who's they? Cunts, that's who. The royal family, parasites, suspected child abusers, chummy with Jimmy Savile back in the day. That's who they. But they, the royal family, determined that she was a commoner by asking how she slept after a night of snoozing in one of those open-topped rail freight boxcars full of dried pulses with a camping mattress hidden at the bottom. Artie? What? Nothing. I just wanted to disrupt the flow at the optimal time to maintain viewer interest. Being British and of a certain age, you know, old and dusty, taking a trip down memory lane via old media is a risky proposition when there's certain faces from the past you don't wish to see or acknowledge the existence of anymore, beyond pointing out their evil. Well, they didn't have guest spots on children's television show Rainbow, which is just as camp as you remember it if you're one of the lucky ones to have enjoyed it. The only danger Rainbow presents to the nostalgic mind is crossing the line and wondering about the possible sexual dynamics between George, Zippy and Bungle. Why, who did you think I was going to say? But there's not a mean-spirited bone in that show's body, not a shadow to trouble the mind. It's safe and it always will be. They didn't have guest spots on children's television show The City Show, specifically the Matthew Corbett era of the show. I won't watch it if Matthew Corbett isn't hosting, because I feel we need to support ginger-haired people appearing on television. Not Chris Evans, not him, but everybody else with ginger-coloured hair. What a wonderful world City and Co live in. Their conflicts, such as they are so low stakes as to be background noise to their amusing antics that encapsulate some life lesson for the day. Don't tell lies. Be kind to others. Kick Nazis in their faces. That last one was a sweep-centric episode. That one might not be available for viewing on the internet, especially as it only exists in my imagination at the present time. Right, Sweep? But Sweep would definitely punch Nazis. You know he would, wouldn't you? He'd bite their ankles too, probably. They didn't have guest spots on Danger Mouse, a cartoon made for children's television, and even if they did, you wouldn't really know because it was a cartoon. I think it was the same antagonist week after week though. Penfold, right, the one everybody thinks is a mole, not a mole in the sense he's working for a government agency rooting around for their secrets on behalf of a foreign power. No, they think he's an actual animal called a mole. But he isn't. Prepare to have your mind blown. He's a hamster. The only thing he's rooting around for is foodstuffs to fill out his little cheeks so he can make them look like trumpeters' pouches. You probably think I'm making it up, like I made up the Princess and the Pulses story, but you can look it up on the Danger Mouse wiki page, which is a worthwhile way to spend what little time you have left. They didn't have guest spots. Oh, what, a fourth one? Yes, They didn't have guest spots on regional independent television station Idents and Continuity. I only mention it because I was going to do a rendition of Jim Has Fixed It For You, the closing theme of the Jim Will Fix It show, to demonstrate the strange feeling of absolutely loving that song while hating the person it is about. But not only had comedian Peter Kay, who I've never seen except for one time, done exactly that already, but I had seen him do exactly that, the only time I've ever seen him do anything, and then promptly forgot he did it before I started doing the musical preliminaries, and then I saw a thumbnail of Peter Kay performing the Jim Will Fix It theme. I'm glad that happened. I could have really embarrassed myself. Here instead is my rendition of the Anglia television ident from the classic era. Yeah, it goes on for a bit. There's a nice illusion when I watch these things, when I sing along to the theme tunes, talk to the characters directly as if they can hear me, laugh at them when they amuse. It's like it's the bitterest, coldest and windiest howling darkness outside, and here I am, inside, wrapped in a warm, snuggly blanket with old friends. But expand your horizons beyond the kindergarten of pre-21st century British television, and you take your gag reflex into your hands. I thought I could watch some programming about Britain from the times when I was growing up, from a sapling to a shrub. Oh look, it's Princess Diana at some press thing in the 90s. The Queen of Hearts, you know, because of the pulses, standing at the podium, and then, without warning, Jimmy Savile hoves into view. The illusion is shattered and all comforts vanish in a cloud of revulsion and disgust. Thanks so much for destroying my ability to enjoy large swathes of my pop culture memories because of the monstrous and unforgivable shit you did to your survivors. I can't even enjoy necrophilia anymore because I just think of Jimmy fussing and grunting, chewing that cigar, an occasional belch of putrid smoke from his slobbering lips as his pelvis thrusts and grinds against some corpse. Do you feel like you need a shower, dear viewer? Now you know how I feel. Jimmy Savile never answered for his heinous crimes. Necrophilia, child abuse, hosting Top of the Pops. I ask you, dear viewer, what is the point of adjudicating the past if the establishment does little about it beyond middling speeches about how things will change, which placates the masses just enough to maintain the status quo? Nostalgia is a nice place to visit, a safe, selective place, but ultimately it's just a comfortable illusion because in reality you can never really go home. Although, if you tie a bathrobe belt around your crown and sport a broom handle before putting monkey magic on, you'll be pretty damned close. On that note, I thank you for watching. Remember, forget everything you've heard here tonight. The Rehypnol trademark should help. Good night.